Over the coming months, GUSSs will be installed in regional areas across Queensland as part of the project. An induction for depot employees will be conducted close to the installation date for each area. So let's take a look at what will impact you and what you need to know. To begin with, a new SWP has been released, which prescribes the method to safely approach, perform a basic inspection and energise or isolate an in-service GUSS unit. If you are going to a site for call-out, prior to leaving the depot, advise the GUSS engineer and contact any local landowner and inform them of your intended work. Most of the sites do not have mobile phone coverage, therefore it is advisable to take a satellite phone for communication and emergencies. Contact details for local SME and GUSS engineers will be included in your induction. A copy will also be stored in the lockbox on site. When you arrive on site and after you've completed your on-site risk assessment, notify the GUSS engineer prior to starting work. From a safe distance of approximately 10 metres, perform a ground-based visual inspection. Look for physical damage, oil leaks, smoke, wires down and perform a pole top inspection of the distribution substation. Report any unit defects to the GUSS engineer and distribution substation or HV network problems to the OCC. In most situations, LV isolation at the pole and on the DC side of the GUSS unit is adequate for access. If the GUSS unit is isolated as part of a switching sheet, then access requirements will be in accordance with our P53 processes. If you are accessing the overhead distribution network, that is the SWIR conductors, once again follow the normal P53 processes. You could be asked to approach an energised GUSS unit for fault finding, line patrol as a result of a loss of supply. Keep clear of any defects or suspected defects until proven safe to touch. If there is a distribution defect such as a leaking transformer or broken HV insulator, then HV isolation and access will be required as per the P53 process. If there is a GUSS defect, then LV's isolation at the distribution substation and the DC circuit breakers is sufficient. If the defect is minor or there is a suspected fault within the GUSS, a voltmeter with a trailing lead shall be used to determine that the meterwork is not live. Install a temporary earth stake at least 2 metres from the concrete apron around the GUSS unit and test from the earth stake to the concrete apron and then the GUSS metalwork. The AC should be less than 20 volts and the DC should be less than 30 volts. It is safe to approach the unit if those voltages are less than those values. If the voltages are higher, stay clear of the unit and advise your local region SME or GUSS engineer. Remember, test pencils and proximity devices will not indicate the presence of DC voltages, so shall not be used. A basic inspection shall be performed under the normal working situations such as fault or at the request of the GUSS engineer. It includes visual checks of the site and equipment such as door handles, status of circuit breakers, indication lights on electronics, or check inside the unit for anything unusual like vermin inside the control cubicle. More detailed information is in the manual, a copy of which is in the lockbox on site and on the process zone. GUSSs use lithium batteries and can generate up to approximately 800 volts DC. These batteries are always live. Think of your truck battery. The keys are out and your truck may be turned off, but the battery is still live, so do not approach the battery bank unless under the direction of the local SME or GUSS engineer. There is also a fire suppression canister in the battery bank. It is behind the centre rack of the battery modules on both sides. These canisters operate approximately 70 degrees C in an always active state. When opening the battery bank cabinet, open the doors and stand back for 1 minute to allow any potential hazardous fumes to dissipate. Visually inspect the batteries and equipment for any damage, burning, smoke or fire aerosol residue. You must do this at all times even if there are no faults. In the unlikely event the fire canister operates while working with the doors open, evacuate the area. Go to the upwind side of the container and contact the GUSS engineer. To isolate the unit, after performing the safe to approach procedure, shut down the inverter under the direction of the GUSS engineer or local SME. The main switch is the emergency stop and operates other circuit breakers. Turning off the main switch will turn off other circuit breakers at the same time. Open the AC main switch in the AC switchboard. Check half open DC string breaker 1 and fully open. Check half open DC string breaker 2 and fully open. After you've completed the work, to restart the unit, turn the inverter back on. Once again, this can only be done under the direction of the GUSS engineer or local SME. Energise string 1 DC circuit breaker in the battery cabinet. Energise string 2 DC circuit breaker in the battery cabinet. Energise the AC main switch in the AC switchboard. Remember, the DC string breakers will not close unless they have been taken to the fully off position to recharge the spring. If you have any questions about anything you've seen in this video, talk to your local GUSS SME in the first instance. For anything else, contact GUSS Engineering Team.